Yes. So hi everyone, very good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining from. And thank you so much for joining and making our session beautiful. So we have the beautiful, the Dynamics MVP lady, Bilur, who has taken her time and given us that she's going to talk on the credit collections. I'm after her from long time to give us a session, and finally she agreed to do it. And luckily, it's Women's Day, and I wish all the women a happy Women's Day. And Bilur, over to you.
Thank you so much for the invite me, and I'm very glad to be here in this Women's Day. So let's start and let me share my screen. Okay, so sharing. Please tell me when you can see.
Yep, we can see that.
Perfect. Today we are going to go over the credit and collections, a module that I really like to be working with. Okay. Before we start, let me briefly introduce myself that I'm Bilo Shamnancıoğlu. I have been a consultant since 2004. I have more than 40 project experience. I'm a Microsoft BizApps MVP, MCT, Dynamics 365 Community Super User, a certified solution architect, and very passionate on Dynamics 365 FNO. This is who I am, professionally speaking. Rather than that, I'm a mother of a 12 years old son and married with a Dynamics developer. Developer solution architect, I don't know, basically a developer. So today's agenda will be on to understand the usage of the credit and collections module. So what we are going to do is that we will go over the presentation, but not so much on the presentation, but rather than in Dynamics. And after I finalize, if we have enough time, I would like to go over your questions as far as I can. And if there are any questions that I'm not able to reply, and then you can just send an email and I will try to reply afterwards, of course. You can reach me directly from the Dynamics 365 community. If you just write out your questions, me or my friends can reply because there are too many professionals there, or you can reach out to me from LinkedIn. So why we use credit and collections module? So because everything that we can do throughout the other modules are basically collected in this specific module. So you can see your customer transactions, you can see your customers, you can do the payments, you can see your customer related reports, which are not like the CE ones, but more of the financial part. And then you can manage your credit risks and etc. So what we are going to go over today is that we are going to go over the collection letters, interest notes, write-offs, reimbursements, edge balances to manage our collections. We will see in the credit part for the credit risks and of course the payment. So when we go for a credit management part, what we do is to set up credit and risk management parameters. We set up the parameters in the customer form, of course. We set up the customer credit groups. We set up credit management workflows. We run credit management periodic tasks. And then we use credit limit adjustments if we need to. And we can always release and reject the stops for the credit management under this module. So let's go to Dynamics now. Here is our module. As you can see, under credit and collections, we will be able to see and manage all the tabs here. As in the other modules, we have workspaces. We have different tree view of the setups and the processes that we can do. Under the setup, We will be able to see the accounts receivable parameters, credit and collection parameters, and etc. So according to the risk management, let's go for the credit and collection parameters. Under the credit and collection parameters, we have the credit tab. And here on the credit tab, we set the parameters according to our risks. So here we say if we would like to allow edit of sales orders value after order hold is released. So if the order is stopped, if we are able to do any edits on the orders, and reasons, default reasons for canceled orders, if we are going to check customer credit groups according to the credit limits, credit limit check when the payment terms are increased, and etc. These are all the parameters that you can use to manage your credit risks. So the first step that you have to do is to set up all these information for the credit limits. You can you have credit limit checkpoints. So you say when you would like to do the credit limit check, if it's when the confirmation is done, at the point of the picking list, when it's released to warehouse, if it's in the point of the packing slip of the invoice, or if it's in the posting or to create the pro forma, etc., etc. So here you can also say that if you want to control only for the sales order or the free text note, or if you want to just warn the user or stop the process or just be sent for a review. So these are the parameters that you have to manage when you are creating the risk management to yourself. Okay. And then we set up the workflows in the credit management workflows. Here there are three types of workflows that you can set up, and you set it up according to the association. When you click new, you will be able to select one of the workflows and you can make it as default. The first one is the credit management release workflow. So for example, if an order is in hold and you want it to be approved before it's open, so you set up the credit management release workflow. If you would like to create a credit limit and assign it and then to be approved, you can select the credit limit adjustment workflow. And if you want to send this information to the workflow according to the adjustment lines, the limits that you assign per line, then you will be able to select the credit limit adjustment line workflow. Then what we have to set up is for the credit management. Here we have blocking rules, payment term ranks, settlement discount ranks, credit management reasons, credit management groups, and account statuses. So we have here the credit management groups. Here you can define as much as you can. Here we will be able to select on the customer this information, and then we'll be able to assign, for example, some auto limits according to the credit management groups, which we are going to see further. So here there are two. One of them is the independent customers. Okay, let me continue. And the second one is the major customers. But you can say, like, for example, international customers, local customers, and I don't know, your intercompany customers, and etc. So it depends on how you want to create your rules according to these groups. This is all for credit management. Then you can have blocking rules. Here there are different rules that you can set up to block the customer. For example, you can set up days overdue. As you know, in Dynamics, if you have ever seen it, we have the account codes, table, group, and all mentality. Here you select the account code. You can set the parameters customer by customer. You can set up according to the groups, as you see that we have defined, and you can just give parameters to all. Here you select the account code, the account or the account group, and then the risk group, if it's high group, low group, medium group, or whatever you would like to set up. You can also set up your risk groups. You set up the rule if it's blocking or if you would like to exclude it. You select the operator if it's greater than or equal to or less than, and etc. You select the value type, and if it's overdue or currency, etc. This is for the days overdue. You can block your customers according to the account status. Here is the rule type, if it's the blocking or the exclusion, if the operator is or so, and you can have your account statuses. Also in the account status, you can have more than one. And here we have defined two, if it's hold or if it's open. So if a customer's account status is on hold, this means that the rule to be stopped for this customer. Terms of payment. So if the term of payment is cash or COD, then this means that the rule type is blocking. You can have the credit limit expired. So here also you can stop the customer according to the credit limits. We say that according to the risk group, according to the account number or account group, the blocking type, the operator, and the days. And you can also say that if you would like to release the order, then you can say release the order. You can have overdue amount. On the overdue amount, what you have to do is almost the same things, but you have to select the overdue amount and the threshold, of course. And on the sales order, if the sales order amount is below this, more than that, you can also have the blocking rules, and you set up the credit limit used according to your blocking rules. So after you do this setup, you can have, as I have mentioned, we have account statuses. On the account statuses, we say that it's either be on hold or on open. You can have more than one. It depends on you. It depends on how you want to set up your descriptions. And here, if it's hold, we say that invoicing and delivery will be on hold. If it's open, then user will be able to proceed. So after we do this setup, we also have the setup like ranking of the payment terms, ranking of the settlement discounts, and also you can set up the reason types for the credit management reasons. So you can say it's hold for the account, it's released for auto release, we have the order cancelled, we can release the order according to a manager decision, or a manager can say that, okay, hold this order. We can have release for the modifying to order. If there's an issue, if we want to hold it and we say it's an order issue, and if it's the reason type is status, then we can say that it's overdue, so we are holding this customer up. And then we can release, for example, if there is any payment or payment is promised. So these are the types that the credit management reasons are, but you can set, of course, create more according to your needs. Then we go for the customer. On the customer also, we need to set up one by one all the details according to our risks. Okay, so here we have the credits and collections. This is both for the collections and both for the credit. In the credit controls that you can have a credit rating. Credit rating is just for reporting purposes. You can say that this customer is mandatory on credit limit. So you can say that, okay, I have my rules, but I do not want this specific customer to be valued as mandatory in credit limit. All right. So you can say this customer is unlimited credit limit. You can say you would like to exclude from credit management. And then you can say that this credit management group, I select this customer as independent customer. As you may remember that we say that we can have different, like the local customers, international customers, or our group customers. So you can have as much as you can in here for to manage and to give rules. So here you select the credit management group, and then you have see here the credit limit. This credit limit can be manually filled, or I will show you later that this can be updated according to the rules that you have given. And you will be able to see that the credit limit of the customer's currency. And if this customer has any insurance and guarantees, which I will show you later, you will be able to see the insurance and guarantees and the total credit limit. Also, you will be able to see the credit limit expiration date, when this customer's credit limit will expire. And if the credit limit has been changed, customer's credit limit group that you can see. Any questions here, or? Okay, let me continue.
Go ahead.
When this credit limit has been last reviewed, when it will be next reviewed. So here, how I use these fields is that, for example, I set up an alert rule and say that, okay, my next schedule review date will be this, and just give me an information when the time comes so I can go into these customers, like for example 10 days before the next schedule review date, and I will review and do the relevant changes. So here also see the eligible credit limit, the currency, the account status, if this customer is open or on hold, or in any, for example, I create the customer and do not want yet it to be used because I didn't yet filled all of the information on the customer, and I want it to be on hold till I say, okay, everything is good and I would like to continue with this customer. So this account status can be used for that purpose also. The account status reason, for example, you put this customer on hold because the customer is in overdue. Okay, so you can select the reason why this account status is on hold or closed, etc. And then you will be able to see the risk according to the year business established, when this customer is my customer since, and you can have different roles. Here under the collections, you will stop this customer or just to the invoices. Okay, you may not stop this customer. You can stop just for the invoices. You can stop for all of the transactions. You can stop for the payments. You can stop for the requisitions, never to be stopped, or else. Okay. So here also you will be able to see this is about not the risk, but the collections. But you can say that when we collect money from this customer, the direct one collection contact is for example, biller. So biller is very responsible for this customer. So collection contact is biller. You can select in here, and you can have default right of reason if you would like the write-off. Default right of reason will come from here. And then if you would like this specific customer to be excluded in the interest charges when you calculate your customer's interest, you can select as yes or no. If you would like to exclude from collection fees, still you will be able to select exclude from collection fees in here for the specific customer. Okay, so this is actually how the collections are being made, the setups that you have to do in the first slide. Then you can run some periodic tasks for the risks, and you can use credit limit adjustments. Let's go back. Under credit and collection management, we have periodic tasks. Under the periodic tasks, we have force credit hold, calculate balance statistics, and update of the risk scores. So when you say force credit hold, let me try again. System will look at your customers and then try to find out reasons according to your setups why that customer or customers' data should be held. Okay. Just a second, please. Here are the reasons that you can run. You can run these as batches also as well. So if you would like to stop according to your account hold, according to your order holds, you will be able to update when you use the force account hold. Of course, this will control on the way of your transactions, but if you want a periodic control for this purpose, you will be able to use this functionality in batches, for example, running once a day or in an hourly manner to be able to run these controls. Okay. So you can also give some filters and then run the processes. So you say that, okay, control my customers according to the account issue. If you would like to check the rules for the manager hold or an order issue, run it. Once run, all the data will be seen in the inquiries. Okay, so I will go to credit management hold list. You can see all credit holds. You can see open. For example, you will be see only the ones that has an issue. If you would like to see just the ones that you have closed, which means that you release, and then credit holds due for overview. So let's go to open credit holds form. Here you will be able to see the number, if it's active, if it's closed. Of course, this is the open one, so you will not be able to see closed. Then you have to go to all of them or the closed. The review date, the sales order, the total, document status check, ship date, terms of payment, customer account, and their credit group, credit management group, hold reason. This means that this has been held according to the threshold that we run the process. And when it is released, the release reason also can be seen. Here in the credit management hold list, you will be able to see the blocking reason. So when we click here, you will be see that why it's been on hold. You will be able to see the links. See the sales order, the customer, the balance, if exists, the customer credit group. You, for example, let's go for the customer credit group and see the link in here. You see in the customer credit groups, we say that we have the Contoso group, and under the Contoso group, the credit limit is 1 million US dollars, and the credit limit expiration date will be the 31st of October 2020. And these customers are included in this customer credit groups. Okay, let me go back. And then you can release. When you release this, or how to give a release reason. So you can say that, okay, this will be an auto release. So I will be releasing directly, or this releasing because this order is canceled. You can say, okay, as a manager, I approve this order to be proceeded. So you can say it's a manager decision, or say that, okay, this order has been modified. And or you can say, okay, this customer is above credit limit, but he's an old customer, she's an old customer, and let's say that he pays the promise to pay, so we can proceed. Or you can reject. In this case, to reject, we can also give a release reason, or you can evaluate for release. This means that something has been changed and you want to rerun the blocking rules, and then you can say evaluate to release. So when we go to the customer credit groups, customer credit here under the risk, we have scoring groups, we have risk classification, and we have automatic credit limits. So let's go for the scoring groups. Under the scoring groups, this is very important information that you can do to evaluate actually the risks. So there are various. One, you can manually add new ones according to your rules. When I say new, you give a scoring group number, a code, a description, and a group type. So if you want to evaluate the scores according to the average payment days, customer sins and business sins, DSO, average balance, credit management group, account status, and country, these are defaulted by Microsoft, so you can use any of them. Or if you want to give a scoring group, a risk evaluation manually, then you have to select the user defined. Okay, and then you select the score type. If you want to give a range to your rule, then you can say range, or if it's something that's not in range but a user defined value, then you can say user defined. Okay, for example, here is the average balance. The group type is average balance and the score type is range. So if you say that if the average balance is from 0 to 5,000, then the risk contribution score is 0. If it's from 5,000 to 50,000, then the risk contribution score is 2.5. If it's 5,000 to 100,000, then it's 5. Okay. The same applies in the average days. As you can see, if the average payment days are from 0 to 35, then there's no risk. If it's 35 to 70, then the risk score will be 7.5. Here, you say that if it's country, for example, if it's from Australia, then the risk score is 0. But if it's from Espanol, then it's the risk contribution score is 4. It depends on how you would like to see your credit ratings. As you can see, it's user defined, so there's just the value. These are just examples. You can just check out and process according to your needs. Here, for example, we say that if the scoring group is DB that you manually define, I say if the value is A1, then the risk contribution score is 0. If it's A2, which you have defined on the customer, then the risk contribution score is 2. And we have risk classification. Here we say that if the risk group is from 0 to 30, then it's green mark. And if it's between 30 to 60, then it's yellow mark. And if it's high, then it is a cross, which is red. So this is for just how you would like to see it in visual way. So this is just for the visualization. And you can assign automatic credit limits. So you can say if the credit limit is low in euros or low in US dollars, then you say that if the scoring group is average days and the operator is greater than or equal to 30, then you will auto-assign the credit limit as 500,000, but if it's 65, then you will assign directly the credit limit as 100,000. So the automatic credit limit definition is being made to not to go in each customer and then write down their credit limits, but automate them and then fill them automatically by a batch process. Okay, so what we do is that now we have the credit limits. Okay, so when we run the process of the updating risk scores, okay, you can run in batch, then this information will be automatically displayed on the customer. So I go to customer, okay, select my customer, go to the risk score, and we'll be able to see here the risk score is. If you create new one, as you can see, I have created the BB before and run it, you will be able to see also the modified date, and then you will be able to see the value, the total risk score, and the risk group. Okay, so when you go, if you would like to go into detail what this is, then you will be able to go to risk scores and see how you did your setup. This is for reporting, so you will be able to see the risk scores just for the information of yourself, of your customer. Okay. Then what you can do is that for a specific customer, you will be able to do credit limit adjustments one by one. So you can say, okay, this is defaulted or not defaulted, and you would like to do the credit limit adjustment. You can go to customer, or you can directly go here, credit limit adjustments, select new, you select the credit limit adjustment type. It can be a credit limit or a temporary credit limit. It depends on how you would like to manage, and go to lines. Okay, select your customer accounts. For example, Contoso Europe. If the customer has a customer credit group, it will be defaulted. You will be able to see what it was, actually what it is now, and then you can here write down what it should be. Okay, let's say 1 million. You set up the expiration date. It will be expire tomorrow, for example. And then you will be able to post. Okay. You can add customer adjustment. You can add credit group adjustment. So you here select and update all this information according, not one by one per customer, but according to the customer group. So you can say that, okay, I would like to assign 1 million Contosa customers, but now I would like to change to 1,500,000. There's no expiration date, and then you can post. Under generate, you will be able to generate the lines from the existing customers or existing customer credit groups, and or from automatic credit limits. So when you post, you will be able to see, go to the customer and then check out how limits are being assigned. Here, as you can see, we updated Contosa Europe. On the customer Europe, we have the credit management group, but we said that we would like to set up the credit limit group as 1 million. And then it auto, of course, updates the credit limit on customer's currency because the customer's currency is in euros. And then the customer has insurance and guarantee with a negative. And then the total credit limit is also can be seen in here. Okay. So the expiration date, the change date, all to be seen on our customers. Okay. So what we did according to the credit management is to set up the parameters, check out from the customer form. After we do the setups, we set up the customer credit groups, we set up the workflows, we see the credit management periodic tasks, user credit limit adjustments, and then we release and reject the stops. And we have as the limits, we are able to give the limits manually, but time to time, the limits are from the insurance and guarantees, and it's easy to manage in Dynamics. So first you set up the types, and then you assign these types in the customer form. So again, under the credit and collections, let's go in under the setup, insurance and guarantees. We have guarantee types. You can have as much as you can. Here you select the insurance guarantee type and the description. And then you go to your customer. Okay. Under credit management, you will be able to see insurance and guarantees and say new. Select your insurance or guarantee type. If it's insurance or guarantee, let's say insurance. And then you will be able to see the types that you have created. So let's say it's aliens. Your insurer, guarantor. Select here who the vendor is. If you have a coverage type, you will be able to see the coverage type. You can have your detailed identification in here. When it is effective, when it expires, what the value is, and the currency, you will be able to fill out and say that included in exposure or not. Okay, so this is how you manage your insurance and guarantees for the customer. Also, you manage your risks and you start filling out the transactions for that customer, you post the orders and etc. But time to time, for example, at the end of the month, when you or whenever you need to do the reimbursement. The reimbursement is that you check the balance for the customer, and if your customer is also your vendor, you don't want to collect money from your customer if you have any balance in your vendor as well. So what you do is that you transfer the balance from one to the other. This is what the reimbursement is in Dynamics. So to be able to net these two transactions, you have to select the vendor on your customer and then run the reimbursement process. Actually, there is a new netting functionality in the newest version, which is more complex, but does help you to proceed more further. I have not yet applied that, but I read from Ramit posts, and it seems a good functionality. So you can use that one, but if you are just like try to use a very easy way, you can set up the vendor on the customer and then run the periodic task of the reimbursement. So here on the customer, I think it's under, where it is. Miscellaneous, probably. Yes, here. Under the miscellaneous details, you select the vendor account. Okay. And then after you select the vendor account, you run under periodic tasks, the reimbursement process. You can summarize customer, which means that if you do not want to do it one by transactional basis, but to group them, you can summarize. And if you would like to include customers with outstanding debit transactions, you will be able to set as yes and then run the process. What reimbursement does is that it will create a journal for you, okay, and then do the markings, do the settlement transactions. Then you will be able to go into the journal, look at it. If everything is fine, you can post it, then the reimbursements will be done. After you do the reimbursement, but after, of course, whenever you want to, you can set up collection letters. For example, if you want to send the customer that, okay, it's almost time to pay or you are a little bit late, so be sure you may have some issues with us. You will be able to set up the collection letter parameters. You set up the sequences. You set up the posting profiles, and you will be able to create and post the collection letters. It's very important to use the collection letters to inform the user, the customers. You can send the collection letters directly via email. So it's not a hard job to do like we do in the very old days, like send them manually. Okay, for the collection letters, first you have to do the setups, of course, as we do it in everywhere. Here you set up the collection letter sequence, which means that if your customer is in a high rule or a low rule, it depends. So in this setup, as you can see, we are sending out 4 collection letters. The first one is for first notification. So here there will be no posting because there is no fee that I will charge to my customer. And it will be sent in Monday. And then we have collection letter 2. It's a notification with fee. Of course, while it's a fee, there will be a main account because I will post it and should be able to see in my Jill accounts. I write down the fee and then I will just set up here when it will be sent. We have collection letter 3. It is a higher fee, and at last we have the final notification. Okay, so you will be able to send out to your customers with the fees as well. So we set up the collection letters. As you may remember, we set up to the customer and saying that, okay, we are going to use collection letters for this customer as well. And then on the posting profiles, we select the collection letter sequence in here. So we will be able to, if this customer posting profile is Jen, we should use the collection letter sequence as high. And then also say, yes, I will, on this customer posting profile, I will calculate calculation letter. So for example, if you have different posting profiles in your transactions like advance payments, and for the advance payments, you don't want to calculate any collection letter, you do not need to select collection letter for that posting profiles as well. And then you start running the collection letters. This is the sequence. And then you run create collection letters. You can create collection letters according to the invoices, credit notes, payments, and interests. You select the collection letter if it's the first, second, third, or else. You select the correction letter date, and you can select the posting profile. Okay, and when you say okay, the collection letters are being created, and under the post collection letters, you will be able to post these collection letters. You can set up the posting date. You can run date as posting date as well. And then you will be able to see all your collection letters from review and process as well, if you do not want to post it directly. As you can see, we are able to see the collection letter code, the customer account, the status, and if it's printed or not. In this form also, rather than posting them in batch, in total, you can select cancel or post in here. And you will be able to print the collection letter or directly send your collection letter to customer as well. And then we will be able to see the collection letter journal or collection letter report. Okay, so this is what you see. As you can see, we have a voucher for this one because it's the second collection letter. And we go to the voucher, we can be able to see the charges that we post. And what we can do here is that we have the interest notes. Collection letters are a little bit different than the interest notes. Interest notes are used to charge customers if they do not pay. There's also a couple of parameters that you have to set up. So what you need to do is that you have to set up the interest note parameters, then the interest codes, and then merge them in the posting profiles, and then you create your interest notes and post them. So under the parameters, set up credit and collection parameters. Here we have interest and fees. Under interest and fees, we select to what we want to calculate interest from. If you say open, this means that the customer has not paid and is overdue. If you say closed, this means yes, customer is paid but paid late. If you say open and closed, this means that I would like to also calculate interest to the transactions which are late and late paid. You can say, of course, closed, including the grace period. So it can be closed, late, but there can be a grace period that you say it's okay, like it is late for 5 days or 10 days. You can say close including the grace period, or open and close including the grace period, you can say. So here, for the interest and fees, when will be the invoice date value, interest note date, or the current system date, we can select. You can say the minimum number of days to allow for interest and fees, which is the grace period, and the number of days to allow interest and fees that you can select in here as well. So after you select the interest and fees, you go to posting profiles. Here you say that for this posting profile, I would like to apply interest. And here you select the interest code according to your account code, account group, and etc. When we go out for the interest codes, you set up, because you can have different interest codes, okay, according to different rules. You say you would like to apply 2% after 15 days, okay, or you can have 2% after 1 month. It depends on how you would like to treat your customer. The thing in here is that while you are applying these rules according to your customer posting profiles, this should be very well discussed with the customer when you try to set up your customer groups, your interests, and your posting profiles. Or else you can have different rules per customer, and then you have to set up your posting profiles accordingly, customer by customer. So it's a huge thing. So this should be very well designed in this turn. We are talking with the customer AR phase. Here you will be able to have the calendar options, expiration date, grace periods. You can have interest type. For the interest type, you can have a single rate or a multiple rate. You can set up here how these earnings should be managed. Unfortunately, there's just one account in here. So you can set up just once. You cannot say, for example, the customer are paid early, okay? In this case, it's positive and it's for the sake of the customer. So you cannot say if they pay late, use this account. If it's early, use that account. No, it's just one account that you can use. So you select here how it will be calculated. If you would like to calculate interest every 1 month, and with the monthly interest that you can select in here, you will be able to set it up. Or if you would like to generate earnings by currency, you can use here to set up by currency. And you will be able to set up here the payments and payments by currency. So this is how you set up your interests, interest codes. You set up your interest codes, your parameters, and then you set up in the posting profiles. Then it's time to run the interest. You go to interest and then say create interest notes. You can create interest according to the invoices. credit notes, payments, and even interest by self. You calculated interest and was not paid also. So you will calculate interest on the interest. And you say from date to date, round off, posting profile definitions. And when you say okay, then you will be able to see all these values under the interest calculation. If there exist, let's see that if we have any. Let's go to credit card collections and say review and process interest notes. Here, as you can see, we have these, the interest code, start date, end date, customer account, the status, if it's canceled or if it's open or created. As you can see, if they are printed or not. So if you would like to see in details and if you would like to post it, then you say post. And after you post, all the transactions will be able to see. So when I click in one of them, before posting, you can control the details, the start date, end date, customer account, the currency, and under that, the sales tax, address, transactions. So here you will be able to see which voucher, which date, which invoice, if it's an invoice, due date, currency, origin amount, amount of interest will be seen also, and etc. You can also, if you would like to remove and you would not like to calculate interest for that specific transaction, you can remove from the lists. Interest per transaction lines. Here you will see the interest lines and then post directly in it. So when it's paid, if the customer pays, the interest will be also closed. Okay, what we do is that we say we manage the risks, okay, for the customer and say, okay, we send them our invoices and they didn't pay. What we did is that we sent them collection letters, okay, they didn't pay. And then we sent them interest notes and didn't pay. This means that they're not going to pay, probably, okay? And what we can do is that when we decide that it's not going to be paid for some reason, we can write off that transaction as well. So for the write-off, you use write-off functionality. What system will do is that it will create a journal. It will mark the transactions, and then you will be able to control and post them. But before we use the write-off process, what we have to do is that we need to set up the default write-off journal, default reason on the parameters, and if we need tax line to be separated on the journal, we need to select that parameter as well. Then just run the process and post the journal. So for the write-off, what you have to set up is under the credit and collection parameters, we have here write-off. We select the write-off journal, it's the general journal. If you would like to separate sales tax, we select it. And we select the default write-off reason, and that default write-off reason will have its own account, of course, that we are going to use as offset of the customer transaction. So to run it, we go to periodic tasks and write-off. I think it's under the customer. I will show you how we do it on the collections. Okay, so this is how the write-off is being managed. Or before sending the collection letters, or we set up the interest, or even after, we can have the collection. The collection also can be managed in here as well. This is very specific, so I'm not going to go into details for the collection process. What you do is that you create a payment journal. You can either fill out manually, you can import from Excel, you can create payment proposals. If you have a bank integration, you will be able to also see in these transactions of the payment transfers, and then you post it. You do the settlements, and when you do the settlements, you will be able to proceed with the transactions as well. Okay, so here you will be able to see under payments, we have customer payment journals. So basically what you do is to create a journal and go into the lines, fill out the details for the payment, or use the payment proposal if you would like to, and then post it. If you have any transaction, any bank integration, like sending and taking back from the bank for those details for to be controlled, when the statuses are changed to send, you will be see the transactions that are being sent in the payment transfers. For example, if it's a credit note payment that you have to pay for your customers, you will be able to see in the payment transfers. Or if there is a workflow for the customer payments, you will be able to see the payment journals that are assigned to me. Okay, but till we come to payment part, there are things that needs to be managed. That needs to be managed by the collection agents. So you are a company and you have collection agents. They have their own customer pools and they would like to manage the collections. So I think the other part that we come to this point is good, but for the collection agent perspective to manage and see every detail in a one visual form is something else. So for make a collection agent's life easier is that we are using the aged balances. So you set up customer pools, you set up collection agents, you map them together. So a collection agent do know which customers that she needs to take care of. And you set up the aging periods, so you can have multiple aging periods to go into the details of the aging. And then you run the age customer balances and periodic to update your aging balances. So here under setup, we have customer pools, okay? Under the customer pools, we say we can do different type of setups. It still depends on how you would like to select your pool criteria. Here, as you can see, what we say is that if the customer's name starting from the A to M is another group, N to Z is another group, okay? So we here select the criteria. If you would like to create a new one and select another criteria, you say select. Here you will be able to manage every criteria you would like to have in a query manner in the system. You can have criteria from global address book, from the customers. You can say that this customer group, is another pool for me, or this customer groups, and then you can have your pools. Okay, so let me go back. After you do your pool, you can have your collection agents. Here, for example, I have Arnie Mondlo as my collection agent and Connie. This collection agent, Arnie, is able to do transactions to the pools from A to M to all N to Z and over 180 past due. Connie can do only for the all of them and just for the ones that are over 180 past due. And you will be able to select which one is the default pool. Okay, so also when you select any of them, when you would like to see what Connie will see when he opens their form, then say preview customer pool. So it will give me the list of the customers that this user will see on that pool. As you can see, we have this detail here and be able to control before we let the user be in the system and see the details of the transactional level. So what we do is that we set up the customer pools and the collection agents. After we do the setup, we have the aging period definitions. We can have as much as we can. It depends on you, how you would like to see. For example, we would like to see the aging 2 weeks before and after the transaction, or we would like to see 30, 60, 90, 180 bulks of the transactions. As far as I remember, the columns are limited for the 7 lines, but it may be changed now. So you need to be sure about the periods, on how many periods that you can use. Okay, so here you will be able to write down the period name. You select the unit, you select the interval, and you can select the indicator. Indicator is for your visual seeing of the data when you open up your aging form. Okay, so this means that, for example, 30, 60, 90, 180, if the customer didn't pay over 180, it's a red cross. If it's 90 days to 180, then it's a red diamond. If it's 60 days, it's a yellow exclamation mark. If it's 30 days, it's a yellow triangle. And if it's current, there's no problem, it's 0 or less, then it's green check mark. Okay, then you run the process, you run the periodic task of age customer balances. When you say run it, what it does is that it creates a snapshot of the transaction. So it's important to decide when to run this process, how long should it take, and how many groups that I have to create. Because if there's too many data, like for example, you have 10,000, 20,000 customers that are active, in this case, it will be a little bit hard for system to manage. So you have to just divide it into groups. Okay, so here you select for which aging period definition that you would like to use. You select the pool ID, which pool that you are going to use. You select the criteria of the aging, if it's per due date, transaction date, or a document date you would like to use. And according to what you want to do the aging as of. So if you would like to do the aging as of today, you are able to, or you can select another date. If you would like to update the collection status, if you would like to include customers with zero balance, if you do not need to do anything, any transactions according to the zero balance, you can just exclude them. But this doesn't mean that it's looking for the balance. So this means that you probably did not settled, or you may not want to settle because that payment is not for that invoice and you still want to see the invoice as not paid. So this is a very critical parameter that you have to select. And you can select bypass credit limit calculations during aging. When you say OK, you can do it in batch as well. You can set up the company range. System will run and then give us the aging report. Here we will be able to see the age balances. Okay. So as you can see, we have our indicators in here. We will see the customer account, customer credit group, amount, due balance, current, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 100, and total, according to the period definition that I made. As you can see here, I see nothing because I'm a system admin, so I can see everything. But if I was assigned to pool, then here I will see the pool that I'm default assigned. I can change it if I have more than one pool, okay? And I will be able to see the aging period definition as well. I can age according to the accounting currency, reporting currency. And if I would like to go into the transactional details, I click on the name, okay? And then we'll be able to see which open transactions that I can see in here. I can here see just the opens, or if I would like to see for this customers opens and closed, I change see show from open and closed. In this form, I'm able to write off as well. When I say write off, as you can see, I'm able to see the write-off date, reason code. I can change it. This is the default reason code that I have selected on the parameters. And when I say OK, system will write off the transaction. I can settle. I can print. I can see the collections history in here. Also, what I can do is that I can change the statuses. As you can see, by default, all the transactions come along with the collection status of not disputed. But if it's not paid, somehow I have an issue with the customer and I would like to see what this status is, then I say change status. I change the status, for example, like it's disputed, or it's not disputed, but it's not paid, but the customer promised to pay. We have an issue of disputed, then we solve it, so it's resolved. Customer has promised to pay, but then promise to pay is broken, so I can select promise to pay broken or promise to pay kept. So we can use debt collection statuses. We can select, for example, disputed, the reason code why it's disputed, because let's say write-off, it's because why it's disputed. We can have a follow-up date. We can set up the disputed amount, how much amount can be disputed. You can send email message to the salesperson. Okay, this is not going to be paid. Salesperson, do not do that anymore. You can record an action or you can create a follow-up task. What does it mean to create an action, a follow-up task, a case, an appointment? Is that you can say that, okay, I'm going to call my customer in the end of March, for example. You can create an appointment, or you can create a task for yourself or task for another. You can say, okay, this is a task for the salesperson who should check and get back to me. Okay, so here are the activities that we have. Okay, so on the action, you select the action type. For example, you are going to create a conference call. You write down the purpose of this conference call. You can set up the notes and you can set up the date and the time. You can set up an appointment. Okay, so you want to make an meeting. Okay, purpose, the notes, when this appointment will occur in date and time. You can create an event. Okay, so you can have a conference call, purpose of the conference call and the notes, or you can directly create a task, what to be done, to send an email, to create a follow-up, or the task is initial phone call can be selected. And here you write down the purpose, notes, and etc. So rather than doing your agenda, not in Dynamics, you can directly manage these purposes in the Dynamics as well. Also in this form, what you can do is we have done everything in the menu, but what you can do is that you can calculate interest for this customer. You can create collection letters. You can reimburse and etc. directly in this form as well. So you don't have to go out in the menu and do your transactions according to this customer out of this form. You can do all in. Also, we run the aging, but you have a call with payment agent and tell them to do the settlement and you want to rerun the agent. You don't have to wait whole day if your batch is set up once a day. You can update aging for this customer directly on the form. Okay, so this is also very easy to manage. You say update aging, and then the data will be changed for this customer directly on this form. You can also communicate. You can send emails. You can send transactions to salesperson. You can print statements or send statements via email. You can send out the letters and interest notes. And it's that you can just see the addresses, contacts, prospects, address books for this customer in here. And you can see the statistics, financial statistics directly in here. Let me update. Okay, we didn't set it up, but you can here see the total invoice, date of update, budget, estimated, and turnover details as the financials for the specific customer. You don't have to go in and update financials one by one. You can run the periodic job of update financials, and then you will directly see here. But if you want to do for a specific customer, you will be able to update financials in here as well. Okay, also, of course, that we have to mention is that we can use manage customer credit and collections part as well. Even though I use this form more, but we have this beautiful workspace for customer credit and collections. If you would not like to see just the collections part, but if you would like to see other details, you can use this part. So you have the company, you can select the customer account, the currency, either is accounting or reporting. You can see in one place all the open activities. If you like, for example, you have a task to collect the overdue balance, if you have a task for follow-up on promise to pay, if you have an appointment, you will see all your collection activities in one. So when you come here, sort by date, you will be able to see what you have to do for that date. You can also here go for do the actions, you can do the communications and activities. You can see your open cases, customers over limit, payment journals that are not yet been posted, collection letters that are not printed, not posted, interest note details, and the sales orders on hold. You can see your balances according to your pool. While I'm an admin, you can see it all. And your aging period definitions. We have this pie. And also for the collections, you will be able to see the customers overdue, edge balances, credit limits. Here, as you can see, the limits of the customers who are on hold, cases, activities, open payment journals as well. And also in the end, we have our links. For the reports, of course, we have too many reports. We have statements, we have balance reports, aging reports, and general reports that show you like the payment reports and etc. in the system that you can use. So you can just see them under the reports. But I would like to mention the aging data storage. So aging data store, what is the difference between the aging report and the aging data storage is that time to time, you may have too many transactions for the customers and system may not be able to process the agent reports. It may take too much time. And then you may not be able to print the standard agent reports. In this case, you can use the aging data storage. The last thing that I'm going to mention for today. Here we have the reports. Here we have the aging report and we have the customer aging data storage. Okay, you set up your data storage, customer aging data storage. You set up the aging date as of, balance as of. If you want to age according to your transaction date, due date, or a document date. If you have an aging period definition, you can select, or you can just giving an interval, you will be able to manage that as well. It depends on you. I think it was just 5 columns that you can select, that system gives to you. Aging direction, backwards, forwards. And then the other parameters like including the transaction currency, exclude zero balance accounts, if you would like to see the negative balance, if the customer is negative or not, and if you would like to do the payment positioning. You can select the recourse to include, and when you say okay, the customer aging data storage starts to run, and then from the data management, you can export the data rather than using the aging report that you can see in the customer aging report. When you click on the customer aging report, the criteria are the same. Just the logic to print the report is varying for this purpose. And this is only being made for the performance of the system. Okay, so here, customer aging data storage, as you can see, we see it here. And we see the processing status, it's ended, it's run as batch, we have the batch name and the number of aging lines. Then we go to the amendment and then export the data. For supporting documents, you can use Microsoft Learn, of course, for credit and collections overview. It's a couple of pages to go over with, and then you can use, of course, the labs of the Learn to manage your processes for learning. So thank you for participating. It's been like we have 5 minutes still.
Yep. Thank you, Beliru, for the wonderful session.
Thank
We have 5 minutes left for having, we will take the question answers. So first question is about what if the credit limit is changed after the customer creation? Will system be able to put customer on hold till the workflows is approved for the customer change? So that's the question from, yeah, Noor.
Actually, yes, that is why we are using the account statuses. So you can default the account status as hold till everything is fine. Then you can send it to workflow, and after approved, it's changed. Then you will be able to use that customer. And then it depends on the rules, what you would like to control actually for the customer.
Yeah, I think definitely we can actually have some credit limit over there, or maybe we want to set up some adjustments. So definitely that can be done. And then
Yes,
obviously,
if you set up your credit limit groups and then assign to those customers, yes, of course, it will be
yes.
up.
Okay, let's take the second one quickly. Is there any way to exclude a certain invoice from the credit limit?
Actually, when you settle a transaction, the balance will reduce. So in this case, yes, it will be reduced for the risk, not from the limit, but it's reduced from the risk.
Okay, yeah, thank you. The third question is there any DSO report to show for the customer? DSO report.
ESO, what is it? I don't know what ESO is, sorry.
I'm also not sure. And Amar, you are there? Yeah, you can unmute and ask the question if it is possible for you to do.
Yeah, sure. How are you? Thanks for your great session, of course. I'm talking about DSO, which is days sales outstanding, which there is two parameters to put the period in the credit and the collection parameters, which normally shows in the customer account statistics when you open the info pane for any customer.
Customer statistics that you say that how many orders that he has, if the statuses you mean, right?
I think this DSO normally shows how much, يعني, how many average payment days, I believe, if I'm not really
Okay,
sure.
so
Yeah.
for the DSO, he is saying that it is days sales outstanding, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Not so sure. I need to check. I remember a couple of reports, but I need to check that one.
Sure. Can I actually ask one more question about the previous question? I asked a previous question about how to exclude specific invoice from the credit limit. So I'm issuing an invoice to a customer and I'm saying I'm selling all the material. So I want to exclude this invoice from the credit limit itself without, يعني, we didn't go to the payment yet or settling this invoice yet.
Yes, you can say that you don't want to put that invoice on hold to be paid.
Sorry?
Yes, you can do that by to select that you do not want to include that transaction on the credit on hold. You can, with a reason, of course, that you have to select why you do not want to put that transaction on hold.
Oh, sure. Great,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Any more questions? Floor is open. Yep. Kamal, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. It's very helpful session. Okay, so I am actually implementing this. Okay, and I have one query. Like in customer posting profile, we have to maintain this credit note number. So do we assign more than one? Actually, I am implement this for my client. Okay, interest note and credit note we have to update in customer posting profile. So by default, can we assign more than one?
No, actually you cannot. For each credit note, that if you have, sorry, for the credit notes, if you have different posting profile, you have to change it manually.
Okay, okay.
So you cannot assign more than one.
Okay, so any more question to be asked? If not, then we'll have an upcoming session from Dipesh Somani. Basically, this session will be for the co-hosting in Dynamics 365, co-pilot in Dynamics 365 CE and Power Platform. So we'll be understanding. Thank you, Veliru, for the wonderful session and happy Women's Day.
Thanks so much. Have a nice day, everybody.
Sure. Thank you. We'll close this session now. Bye bye.
Thank you all. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks for joining. Bye bye.
Thanks, Miller. Thanks for the session.